Hello everybody, this is Triumware412 taking another look at the game Bend Up Every Spirit. In the first commentary video I made on this game, I focused a lot more on just the moves themselves, and in this video I hope to look a little bit more at the strategy, some of the diplomacy that went into playing that game. I played Germany, and from the very beginning I had a strategy coming into things. I wanted to first, in the West, kind of play both sides with England and France. I'm talking to both of them about the possibilities of alliance, but not really committing to either one until later in the game, hoping that after a year or two I'd have a better idea about who would make the better ally for me at that point. And in the East, I wanted to talk to Russia and at first have a non-aggression pact with him, but then ultimately, within the first couple of years, I wanted to attack him, taking my natural centers, but then also a few of his holdings and eventually his northern three home centers. And once I got that far, I was going to stop, build a stalemate line, and then move west, stabbing whichever of the two nations over here was my ally, either England or France, and taking what remained of my 18 from those nations. So this map kind of shows what I originally hoped to do, and we'll see how that turned out for me. England and France are both open to the idea of alliance, and so things go pretty well for me over here, neither one attacking me, and also over here I don't get a lot of aggression from Russia, so things go pretty well, pretty easily the first couple seasons, nothing really exciting to report. I do have issues getting Russia to talk to me, however, and so at the beginning of 1902 I decide, since he has left his midsection exposed, to launch my strike against him early, moving my army towards his open midsection, moving my fleets over. And I had just told him, if you don't want to talk to me, then this is how we'll deal with it. You also see here that I decided which ally I wanted to go with. I decided to go with France. This English move expected my support. You'll see it again in the next season, but my support doesn't come either time. I do very soon start talking with Austria. I realize that if I'm going to be attacking his ally Russia, that I will need him to be at least neutral with me so that he doesn't launch a strike in retaliation. And I tell him that he would be better off attacking Russia than working with him. He does take that advice eventually. You'll see I continue my attack against Russia, and England luckily decides to fight with France rather than me, so I'm only fighting or dealing with a one-front war. Here in the fall of '03, you see Austria taking my advice, attacking Russia, and he will continue that attack. And I just slowly but surely am moving my units into position to fight on Russia's northern border. As I continue to work with my ally France, waiting to stab him until a later time. You see '04 being a good year for me. I end up taking several of these northern territories, and England gets completely destroyed. And I continue to speak with Austria throughout these turns, hoping that he and I might make decent allies once I turn on France. The last thing I need is France and Austria allying against me, and so trading in one ally for the other seems to work just as well in my book. I hadn't quite taken these three centers, which I had hoped to do before turning on my ally, but I had done well in these other areas, and so I thought at the beginning of '05 it might be a good time to stab. However, France had not submitted moves in the very last minutes of the turn, and my stab hinged on him moving out of these territories. He was supposed to move out, I would move in behind him. And since he didn't submit moves, I could not do that, so I ended up holding several units. It was extremely frustrating, but it had to happen. Also, this army of mine in Galicia, I thought sealed my doom because Austria took great offense at it, and he attacked and continued to push that attack in the fall of this turn. I was forced by that to continue working with France longer than I originally hoped, but that turns out to work out just fine. I build my stalemate line as I said I would in this area. Austria does the same thing, turning his focus elsewhere. However, my line's supported from behind, his is not, and so I end up pushing my way through it. And that gives me a great deal of leverage diplomatically. I have this army here in Galicia with access to Vienna, to Budapest, lots of places that I could do some harm, and so I tell Austria, demand really, that he reinstates his alliance with me and that he gives me Sevastopol. I'm not really sure what I was going to do if he had said no, but he doesn't say no, he accepts. And so in 07 I start moving towards France, and you see him moving away from Sevastopol, allowing me to take it in the fall of his turn. France as well sees my move, but doesn't do anything about it. I told him that it was just a ruse to get Austria off my back, and he must have believed at least some part of that, because he moved several fleets away from me, only moving one unit forward to meet the threat of my units up here, which really gives me an easy entrance into his territory. I push further in the next turn, and then I decide, as this attack moves on, rather than taking all of my remaining 18 from France as I had originally decided to do, I realized that Austrian territory would be just as easy to take, and so I move units forward down there. You see, at this point France has 5, which would allow him to break even, and so I send him a message saying that I'm not going to move aggressively against him any longer, that I wish him the best, and that breaking even would be kind of my gift, I guess. And I take the rest of my units from Austria. Also here you see Turkey taking 4. I really hope to get him into 5 units as well, or 5 territories as well, so that he could break even, but I couldn't quite get him there. So he gets 4, Austria ends up with 6, France with 5, and I take the solo victory in 1909. So you see the final map. It's fairly close to what I had originally intended to do, except I took these 4 territories here rather than a few more in this area. All in all, I think my strategy worked pretty well. I was very happy with how the strategy and the diplomacy in this game went. I would love to hear your feedback and comments, any questions you have, and thanks for watching.